Hey, my name is Courtney and I'm a witch. And on today's episode of the Witch Diaries, we're going to talk about the pagan origins of Valentine's Day. Where did it come from? Why do we celebrate it? As well as we're going to talk a little bit more about love spells, which is a topic I haven't really spoken too much about at this point, but we're going to get into that and we're going to do a little ritual for Valentine's Day. So to start off, I found this great little article about ancient Rome and the sort of pagan origins of this holiday that I wanted to read to everyone. February throughout history has been known as a month of love. It is a time when the earth is at its most fertile. Plants and flowers are getting ready to shoot up. Farmers are getting ready for lambing and chick season. Animals will come out of hibernation and start looking for a mate. February 14th, ancient Romans celebrated a holiday on February 14th to honor the goddess Juno, who is the queen of the ancient Romans, who is the queen of the Roman gods. She is also the goddess of childbirth and marriage. In this ritual, women would put their name in a box and the men would draw out a name. Then the two would be coupled for the duration of the festival. This festival was to promote marriage and fertility, and many of the people who were coupled went on to marry. So then we get into, I guess, I kept seeing this celebration happen February 15th. On this little article, it says it can be February 15th, or February 13th to February 15th, so over the course of a few days, was a festival called Lupercalia. And Romans celebrated Lupercalia, a 3-day holiday that celebrated the Faunus, the god of fertility. Men would go to a cave dedicated to Lupercal, the wolf god, located at the foot of Palatine Hill, believed to be the birthplace of Romulus and Remus, founders of Rome, who were suckled by a she-wolf. The men would sacrifice a goat and then don its skin, then run around towns and villages whipping men and women with a whip made from the goat's skin. This was said to be a blessing of fertility to whoever was whipped. There would be big parties and a 3-day feast and festival to celebrate Lupercalia. I was actually reading that it was to celebrate the god Lupercus, who is a Roman god of fertility. Then I was getting a lot of, in my research there were some discrepancies. It was then saying that that was also to celebrate the god Pan and a bunch of other things. I was interested with the fact that it has to do with wolves, and it sounds like there's almost, I've been researching a lot about shape-shifting lately, especially in regards to what are called werewolves or wolf shapeshifters, and so I just thought it was interesting how this holiday revolves around a she-wolf and this whole story about them. And I also found some more information about Lupercus, who was also said to be the wolf god of winter, and he was said to have been born on the winter solstice, and he reached puberty by February 2nd, which was called Candelora. And I thought that was interesting because, as you know, we just celebrated Imbolc, which is called another name Candlemas, on February 2nd. We also have, well, February 1st to February 2nd is around where it falls, and then we have in the U.S. Groundhog's Day on February 2nd. And I thought it was interesting just to see that date happening in ancient Rome as well as with the Celtics, and now we have, the U.S. has their own version of this sort of celebration around that time of the year. And so then it gets from February 2nd to this holiday on February 15th for Lupercus and this whole lore. And I think it's so interesting how the dates are the same from these different ancient groups of people who are both celebrating, in the case of Imbolc, you know, we're celebrating the goddess and Bridget and stuff like that, and in this case they're celebrating the wolf god and fertility, and it's just interesting to see the overlap. So So now how does Valentine's Day come into all of this? So February 14th, Valentine's Day. Christians, or should I say the church, do not celebrate St. Valentine's Day or even acknowledge it on their calendar, as they do not believe Valentine was a saint. And they call the holiday a pagan festival. A lot of priests frown upon any of their flock who celebrate the day. Valentine's Day gets its name from a priest called Valentine, who was performing secret marriages so young men didn't have to go to war. Married men who were drafted at the time didn't have to go to war. So this priest was doing this to help all these young men avoid potentially going off to war and dying through, he'll help them get married. But when he was found out, he was sent to prison to be beheaded by the church for his crimes. While in prison, awaiting his fate, he fell in love with a servant girl. They passed notes to each other, and on the notes they signed them anonymous to keep their love secret. This is why we send Valentine's Day cards anonymously. So that's how that ties into what we currently have in the U.S. of Valentine's Day, which is very commercialized, very much about capitalism, just like all of our pagan witch holidays that are celebrated in the U.S. have very much gone from being festivals about the earth, and in this case, there's quite a few different things going on during this time of year that were somehow all combined together. But like most of our holidays, whether it's Halloween with all the candy sales and the costumes, and or Christmas with all the presents, I mean, we have a lot of commercialization, capitalization happening of all of our holidays, and Valentine's Day is really just another extension of that. And I think looking at what else was going on during that time of year, they couldn't really make money off of Lupercalia. I mean, that would be hard for like a company to make money off of. So I think it seems like they chose Valentine's Day and this specific thing of what happened to so I wanted to talk a little bit about love spells, because I think people who do celebrate Valentine's Day will probably do something in regards to that. So where do we begin? Love spells can be very dangerous, and I think it's important, especially if you're a beginner and you're new to magic, to really be aware of what can happen if you do a love spell. So first and foremost, it's not ever a good idea to mess with someone's free will. It's not a good idea to put spells on them. As witches, if we say wanted to attract someone, we might do spells on ourselves to make ourselves appear more beautiful. We also might do a general love spell, like, hey, I'm looking for someone who, likes to go on bike rides, because that's what I like to do, and who's over a certain height and has brown hair or whatever. We might put that out there, if that's what you're looking for. That's okay to do, like specific attributes or personality types or something like that. But to say like, oh, I have a crush on this person at work, I'm gonna go home, do a love spell, and bind them to me for like a century, that's a really bad idea. I think any witch or pagan who's done a love spell at some point can tell you that it's not gonna end well. It can quite literally make someone go insane in terms of, let's just say this person seems like a great person. Putting a love spell on them could quickly turn into an abusive relationship or a stalking relationship where they're actually stalking you. It can just spin out of control really fast. It's not a good idea to do it that way. There is this great episode of Buffy that's in season 2. It's called Bewitched, Bothered, and Bewildered, and in it Xander decides to, with the help of Amy, who's a witch, do a love spell to kind of get back at his ex, and it just spins out of control very fast. It turns from women, almost being seeming like they're in love with him to trying to kill him like very quickly. And while if you do a love spell on someone, it might not be that extreme that fast. It can spiral out of control pretty quickly and get that bad. Yeah, it is. It's just, our creed as witches is to do what they will as long as you harm none. So it's really important not to mess with people's free will. And also on top of that, if someone doesn't naturally like you, they're probably just not a good match for you, and there's probably a lot of reasons for that. It's better than to just put out like a general love spell and just let the universe bring someone to you who actually is a good match for you. Like I said, just be careful, especially if you're a beginner with magic. I'd recommend focusing more on connecting to the elements, connecting to the earth, like get a really good base for things. I think especially when you first especially if you're a teenage girl who discovers magic, your first thought is, I'm going to put a love spell on like, the cute popular football player or something. And, I think we've all been there. But like I said, it can just turn out really badly, and it's just not a good idea. So I decided to put together a little ritual spell for Valentine's Day, but kind of a different twist on it, but still going with the theme of love. So I got this candle. It is made from beeswax, so we have the energy of the bees. We also have, you can see it has a heart and a bee in the middle of it on each side. It's a really beautiful candle. I wanted to do a celebration for Mother Earth where we actually fall in love with Mother Earth, and just to increase the love that everyone has for the earth. I think she goes through a lot every day, and it would be really great to see more love towards her from everyone on the planet, and more appreciation, instead of giving Valentine's Day cards to a person, to say to the earth, I love you, thank you for everything you've done for me. And I also feel like as witches, we always strive to have a stronger relationship with the earth and with her. So I see us all connecting to Mother Earth on a much deeper level than we're used to. And I see us being very well aware of what it is she needs at this time from us, and what we can do to continually honor her on a daily basis and to thank her for everything she does for us. And I see this going out to the whole world, so the whole planet has a deeper desire to be in love with the earth and to honor her. Like the way you feel about when you get butterflies and you're in love with someone, and it feels so good, and there's endorphins, it would be great if people felt that way towards the earth, where they're just so in awe of her power and everything she gives to us and how beautiful she is, and that you feel that way towards her, and because of that it makes you want to do even more to help her and more to honor her. So on this Valentine's Day, we honor Mother Earth. We honor the plants, the animals, we honor the elements. We honor everything they've given to us. We thank them for it. We're grateful for it. And we let the earth know that we love her. And we hope that our love for her inspires everyone else to fall more in love with her and show that to her on a daily basis. So we see that being grounded. And thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you have a good Valentine's Day. Until next time, blessed be.